The Taichu shows a balance between two opposites with a portion of the opposite element in each section, commonly known as Yin Yang. Both sides, though opposite, rely on each other to maintain equilibrium. Relationships like these are not so uncommon. Light cannot exist without darkness, and darkness defines light. Good guys and bad guys could not exist without each other, and we need to have bad teams to know when a team is truly great. I believe that this symbol can best describe what the MLB and baseball is about. There's always two sides to baseball, and it's not always guaranteed what side you're going to be on every season. The Dodgers spent over $1 billion in the offseason of 2023, mainly on just two players, Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. They spent more money that offseason than some teams did in the 2010s. Their batting lineup is one of the best we will ever see. It isn't exactly right to say that the Dodgers just bought their way to success. They made some good trades throughout the 2023-2024 season, mainly Tyler Glasnow and Jack Flaherty. The blueprint for this Dodgers team might have started all the way back in the late 90s with the Yankees.
Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998.
The Yankees dynasty in the late 90s and early 2000s might have been one of the best stretches we have ever seen from a team. Brian Cashman, the general manager at the time, relied heavily on the financial power, filling every possible gap with the best available talent. Their 1998 team won 114 games that season, with a lineup led by Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, and Paul O'Neill. Throughout their reign, the Yankees four-peated as American League champs, and three-peated as World Series champions. They kept adding people like A-Rod, Haji Masui, and Gary Sheffield. But just like the Dodgers, their pitching became slowly their biggest weakness. And their most memorable moment wasn't their success, but their downfall. After winning the AL pennant for the fourth year in a row, the Yankees faced the newest team in the major leagues, the Arizona Diamondbacks. With an even more stacked lineup than the 1998 team, the Yankees was ready to complete a four-peat as champions. The Diamondbacks lineup relied heavily on Luis Gonzalez, who had a crazy year, batting .325 with 57 home runs and 142 RBIs. The Diamondbacks, although in their fourth year as an MLB team, fought hard until Game 7. It all came down to a tied ball game in the bottom of the ninth. The Yankees' best pitcher versus the Diamondbacks' best hitter.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
The Yankees will reach the World Series again 2 years later, this time losing to another recently founded team. Some people say the true death of the Yankees dynasty came in 2004, where they lost to the Red Sox in a historic comeback. This might be the thing people remember most about the Yankees during this time. No matter how much money you spend, success is never guaranteed. And I think the Angels know this better than any other team at the moment. The LA Angels is one of the most high-profile cases of a team who spent heavily but failed to even make the playoffs. Their spending spree began in the early 2010s to surround big talent around Mike Trout, who was the best player in baseball at that time. The first major purchase they made was for Albert Pujols in 2012, a massive 10-year, $240 million deal. They followed this up a year later with the acquisition of Josh Hamilton in 2013. They hoped this would have been the big powerhouse lineup that could dominate the competition. But even with these investments, they was unable to reach the playoffs in any of these seasons, mainly due to them only focusing on their hitters, not really the pitching staff. Eventually, Pujols' contract became a big financial burden, but the Angels still spent aggressively in the following years. In 2019, the team signed Anthony Rendon to a 7-year, $245 million contract. Year after year, they would spend big on veteran players and other free agents, but their pitching is always a weak point, leaving their explosive offense to their loathsome. Despite the large payrolls and the big-name acquisitions, the Angels haven't reached the playoffs since 2014, more than a decade ago. They spent over $600 million on big-name players over that stretch, but their most impactful player was a player that was only signed for $2.3 million. Even with 6 seasons of Shohei Ohtani, they failed to utilize him in any significant extent.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club!
In the 2010s, the White Sox started a rebuild that would last nearly a decade. They began by drafting Tim Anderson, a future batting champ. They also signed names like Jose Abreu, Luis Robert, and Yasmani Grandal. They traded for players like Dylan Cease, Eloy Jimenez, and Yohan Moncada. The Sox had one of the best pitching staffs at that time, with Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Michael Kopech, Dylan Cease, to name a few. Their 2020 run, although shortened because of COVID, gave us a taste of their skills. With Jose Abreu winning the AL MVP, Luis Robert finishing second place in Rookie of the Year voting, and having 2 pitchers in the top 10 in Cy Young voting. They would win the AL Central, only to lose to Oakland in the playoffs, but it was still a great season for the Sox, a season they haven't really seen since 2005, which led fans to wonder what could have happened in a full season.
Mercedes turns on it, down the left field line. Did he? Yes, he did! The fun never stops with number 73.
Anderson hits it in the air to right. Back at the wall, and the White Sox win it!
To third, Moncada. Carlos Rodon has thrown a no-hitter. After everything he's been through.
Mostly, Larry Garcia sends one to deep center field, and the White Sox are taking the lead in Game 3.
They didn't have to wait long. The 2024 team was a powerhouse in both pitching and offense. As you saw, there was many notable moments in that season, like Carlos Rodon's no-hitter, which should have been a perfect game. That's the hill I will die on. And Tim Anderson's walk-off in the first ever Field of Dreams game. The Sox would finish the season 93-69. They would lose to the Astros in the ALDS, but this would mark the first time they've ever won a playoff game since 2008. 2022 started with them losing Rodon in free agency, but there was still high hopes for this team. Michael Kopech moved to a starting pitching role, which proved to be a good move as he put up a 3.5 ERA. This season saw the rise of Dylan Cease, who posted an ERA of 2.2 with 227 strikeouts in a season where he placed second in Cy Young voting. But even with this, the team wasn't as good as they was in 2021, and they was left in a tense battle for the AL Central against the newly named Cleveland Guardians. A battle they eventually lost. The Sox would finish 81-81, not good nor bad. The fans would blame Tony La Russa for this season and would call for a new manager.
And our style of baseball is just, like I said, we're going to prepare every night to kick your ass.
They dealt starting pitcher Lucas Giolito, one of the best on the trade market, to the Angels along with reliever Ronaldo Lopez.
Multiple reports saying the White Sox had traded Jake Berger to the Marlins for prospect Jake Eater.
The benches, off we go.
Like I said, we're going to prepare every night to kick your ass.
If there ever was a human example of be careful what you ask for, Pedro Grifol would be it. His 2023 squad would finish with 101 losses. They would trade away a whole bunch of their players in that season, and to make up for it, they would try to sign a bargain bin of players to fill the holes. But if you know anything about the 2024 White Sox, you know that didn't go as expected. The White Sox would achieve a record not seen in the modern day, with 121 losses. It was mainly due to them unwilling to spend money on even mid-tier talent, instead of opting for veteran players and calling up prospects before they was due. The White Sox was unwilling to spend money, and a lot of people say that was their downfall. But the 2002 Oakland Athletics proves that money isn't the only path to success. a team so famous they have their own movie, and they built their team without spending big money. Unlike the Dodgers and Yankees, they didn't rely on the financial muscle to build a super team. They couldn't afford to buy championships, so instead they built their team based on analytics, efficiency, and overlooked talent. An approach now known as Moneyball. After losing most of their star players in one offseason, most teams would have crumbled. Instead, general manager Billy Beane and his staff found hidden gems. Players undervalued by traditional scouting, but more productive when analyzed on their different stats. Rather than chase big money replacements, the A's instead targeted guys like Scott Hattenberg, a converted catcher who became the first baseman, because of his high on-base percentage, and Chad Bradford, a star reliever who thrived despite not throwing 95 miles per hour. Their strength came from the dominant homegrown pitching staff. They had 3 great starting pitchers on cheap contracts, which carried the A's to 103 wins. And the most iconic moment they had was their 20-game win streak. On September 4, 2002, they was on the verge of blowing an 11-run lead against the Royals. That was until the bottom of the 9th when Hattenberg stepped to the plate, and on the first pitch he crushed a walk-off home run, securing their 20th victory in a row. This team wouldn't win a championship, but their impact reshaped baseball forever. They showed that smart roster building could challenge even the richest of teams. Front offices around the league took notice, and analytics became a core part of team building. While they never had the financial power of the Yankees or Dodgers, the 2002 A's proved that with the right approach, even the most cash-strapped teams could compete with giants. I believe the yin and yang of baseball, at its core, is the balance between failure and success. No matter how little a team spends or how much, achievement and disappointment are impossible to escape. The Yankees and Dodgers shown that spending big can pave a path to success, while the Angels proved that money alone guarantees nothing. Likewise with teams like the 2002 A's, they demonstrated that success can come from smart planning, development, and a little bit of luck. But the 2024 Red Sox proved that you need to spend at least some money in this game. Building a great team isn't just about talent or resources, it's about beating the unpredictable nature of baseball. The Angels could have easily been in the ranks with the Yankees and Dodgers if they just picked the right players. But in baseball, as well as life, sometimes the pieces just don't fall into place. Some teams find their moments, and others are left wondering what could have been.